Hello everybody, Ian Robson here. Welcome to our Courseplay tutorial. In today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to set up a Courseplay driver to unload your forage harvester. So I have a forage harvester in the back there. He's currently on hired worker. So what you need to do is you need to start recording course right here. And before I forget, the mode you need to have your worker in is the combi mode. So make sure that's highlighted right there. Okay. Again, to bring up your HUD, right click to bring up your HUD, left click on start recording course. You want to make sure you have a couple waypoints in the field itself, and then you can drive where you want to go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drive from here. I'm going to drive into the VGA, and I'm going to drive through the bunker. So let's move over here. I'm going to stay on the right side of the road because if there is traffic on the map, you'll run into problems with drivers running into traffic. So one thing you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure you get lined up as possible. So I'm going to go for the second bunker here. So there it's lined up right there. I'm just going to drive straight through the bunker. You don't need to put a waypoint. You can if you want to make sure. Although that'll change the way that the course actually runs. So most likely the worker will just stop in the middle of the bunker at the end there. So you don't need a waypoint. Alright, so we're driving back to the field. So all I'm going to do is going to drive into the field on the one side here, like this. I'm going to drive just over here, a little bit into the field, and then I'm going to left click on the stop button. Okay, so now if you want to save your course, you just left click on the disk and say VGA 4, and then whatever you want to do next. So if you want to drive the course, left click on drive course. So he's set to drive to the first waypoint, and that's why he's going across the field, because our first waypoint is over here. And he's going to go to the first waypoint. In this case, it's actually, I think that's the second one he's going to go to. There he goes, or the third one probably in that case. So he's going to drive that course we just recorded because I set it to first waypoint. Sometimes if you set it to nearest waypoint, he'll pick up the driver right away. Sometimes he won't, and he'll just do the whole course over again anyways. So keep that in mind. So there he goes. He's going to drive around, and he's going to drive straight through the VGA just like we did. And you'll note that down here on the bottom here you'll see tip trigger detected, which is good. Means it detects that there is a trigger there. So there it goes. It's going to the side, getting lined up. There we go. So in this case there's no identification of the tip trigger, which is okay because there's nothing in the tip. That's probably why it didn't detect it. Alright, so he's going to head back to the course here, or head back to the field. He's going to go back to the combine, and once the combine, or once this guy gets lined up behind the combine will start automatically because it's on a hired worker. Okay, so there we go, into the field. It's driving over here. What's going to happen here is going to take the cover off. He's going to look for a combine in the field, and now he detects that there's a combine there, so it says drive behind combine. Then he's going to drive over to the combine and line up behind him. So keep in mind that this particular activity requires a lot of maneuvering, and if you have trees around the outside of your fields, the Courseplay driver will most definitely run into it at some point in time. So keep that in mind. Alright, so there he goes. He's lining up behind the combine there. Combine's detected that he's there, and he starts to drive again. Okay, so he has a little bit of chaff in his trailer now. Now what's going to happen here is once the trailer is full, the Courseplay driver is just going to drive away. Now I'm going to simulate that by clicking on the drive home right here. So this is just a hard worker, and when it's a combine you can go left click on this combine controls, and you can left click on send driver home or stop driver, whichever you think is necessary. So I'm going to wait for this combine to turn around here. So there he goes. It's at the end of the field. Courseplay driver is going to peel away, like so. The hired worker is going to turn. So remember, this is a hired worker. So the Courseplay driver is going to wait for this combine to line up and get close, and then the Courseplay driver is going to come around and line up behind the combine once again. So there he goes. He's getting ready. Courseplay driver is going to make the turn. He's going to line up as best as he can behind the combine, and he may run into that tree right there. He may not. So there he goes. He's missing the tree. He's getting behind the combine and going off to the left hand side there. As you can see, the combine recognizes the trailer's there, and he starts working again. Perfect. Okay, so let's say the trailer is full. So I'm going to simulate the trailer being full by just saying send driver home. Again, this is only in the combine that you have these controls. So I'm going to go left click on send driver home. So he's going to peel away as if he were full. As you can see, he's just driving away there. He's going to follow the course back to the BGA. So this will happen sometimes, depending on where your points are. So sometimes they'll go in circles, so keep that in mind. If it does happen, you just have to stop the course and start it again. Make sure you line up accordingly. Alright, so here he's going back to the BGA. He's going to drive through that second bunker that we drove through. And when he drives through that second bunker, he's going to unload this chaff that he has in the trailer. Alright, let's see what happens here. So again, if you lose your cursor, just right click. It'll bring the cursor back up so you can click on stuff on Courseplay. So here he goes. He's getting lined up for that second bunker there. Like that. He recognizes there's a tip trigger there. And as you can see, he slowly drops the rest of his chaff on that bunker there. And he's going to continue driving along. So that's how the Courseplay driver unloads into the BGA. Okay? So that will be the same thing that would happen when the tractor or the trailer is actually full in this context. So again, if I come around back here into the combine, what will happen is the driver will come back onto the other side of the field over there, and then he'll recognize this combine's here, and he will come to start unloading the combine once again. There you go. So that's how to set up your Courseplay driver to unload into the BGA. Remember, you may have to set it up once or twice to get the right alignment, but it does work still, so keep that in mind. My name is Iain Robson. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button for some more tutorial action. Catch you guys later.